Hi! Today is day 4. It's not actually day 4. I'm behind a day, okay? Don't judge me. It has been a day. Today has been a day. So it's even a miracle that I'm going online now. But I have to fulfill the commitment, and I have to be true to the commitment that I made that during this week, which is EB, Awareness Week, I would make a video a day. So today I'm making this video. I'll probably have to make a video the day after EB Awareness Week finishes because I'm behind. So today's video is going to be kind of short because short and sweet, or salty, depends. I'm kidding. I'm going to talk about blood. That's why. First of all, let me recap what EB is. EB is Epidermolysis Bullosa, and it's the skin condition that I have since birth, and it's genetic, it's irreversible, there's no cure for it. So I basically have to deal with it. But I am blessed because I have the mildest, simplest form of this condition. So the condition is characterized by very fragile skin, and the anchors that hold the layers of skin together don't work correctly. So they, with friction, or in severe cases, water, air, touch, can make the layers move, forming blisters, or even just having the skin just come off. So as somebody who has this condition, and even though it's the mildest form, I always say to people, you know, I have not lived a day of my life without some kind of wound or wounds. Usually it's wounds on my body. And so I have always dealt with, number one, pain, and number two, wounds. Okay, open wounds, scars, etc. And today's topic is kind of weird, and it's not because it's like Halloween or anything. I just thought that this is something that we could mention, because there might be somebody watching that has this condition too, and is maybe sick of dealing with this as well. And that is blood. I got a little vampire in me. Those of you who know me from like a long ago know what I'm talking about. But I have a little vampire in me, in that as a person that has this skin condition, I have always had open wounds. That equals blood, okay? That means that I am used to seeing blood on my clothing, on my bedding, pretty much everywhere. My gums, for example, were extremely sensitive. So like if normal people can get gingivitis and have like inflammation in their gums that causes them to bleed, imagine if your skin is like ultra delicate. It was constant. I did not know what it meant to brush my teeth without bleeding, like hemorrhaging, like not just like, oh, a spot of blood or a drop of blood, but like hemorrhaging. And so I'm used to seeing blood. And so I'm used to seeing it on my clothing, I'm used to seeing it on my bedding, I'm used to seeing it wherever I am. I mean, usually I stay away from white clothing. I like them, but I stay away from it because I know it's going to get stained. And hydrogen peroxide and OxyClean are my best friends in this situation, because I'm always having to take blood out of my clothing or my bedding as well. And I know it sounds a little bit gross. It's like, really? Do we need to know this? Well, maybe you don't need to know this, but other people who have to deal with open wounds all their lives know how tedious and how upsetting it is to like have this really cute piece of clothing that you're wearing and then have it like ruined because you did this, which is something I commonly do, and boom, it started bleeding all over your clothes. And it's really a frustrating thing, but it goes along with the condition. And I said during this week I would mention one challenge and one blessing. And so the challenge that I'm gonna mention, that I've been mentioning today, is that I have to constantly deal with blood. And and with open wounds. Okay, so like I've told this before, when I was little and I would ride bike and I would fall down and I would skin my knee, literally I would skin like the skin, not just the outer layers, but like full on, like boom, my whole kneecap, like boom. And it was, I guess for other kids, it was probably like, oh my goodness, she's falling apart. But I was used to it. So, and I didn't want to stop playing. So what I do is I just flip on the layer of skin, stick it back on, and I keep on playing. I know this is gross and TMI, but this is life with this condition. You learn to deal with blood and you learn to deal with open wounds. And that is a challenge that comes along with this condition, EB, Epidermolysis Bullosa. And this is EB Awareness Week. So I'm doing these little videos to kind of let you know about the condition and what life is like with it. So that being said, the challenge is blood and open wounds, right? Well, you know what the blessing is? The same thing. Because I have always dealt with pain and itch and discomfort and blood and wounds, etc. Number one, I have a high pain threshold. I mean, I remember when I had my C-section, and I'll talk about being pregnant and being pregnant and giving birth, going through that process with this condition. But when I was out of the operating room, because I had to have a C-section because of my condition, there was no way on earth I was going to be able to have a child like naturally. Just imagine, like, yeah, I would be like split down the middle. But anyways, so when I was recovering, you know, they give you like drugs for the pain because they like slit you open, and I think it's like 7 layers of stuff that they have to cut through to get to the baby. So they gave me painkillers, and I wanted to breastfeed my child, and so I did not want him to get all those drugs. So several times I just throw out the painkillers, and when I, you know, thought I really needed some, I just drink like a little bit, and I can't drink pills, so everything was like in powder form. That's another thing we'll talk about later, but everything was in powder form, so I just like take like a little tiny bit and put it in water and drink it. But I didn't really drink the amount of painkillers I was supposed to drink, because I didn't want to pass that on to my child, as I wanted and wished and dreamt of breastfeeding my child. That's another story, so I'll leave the whole baby issue, because a lot of people probably have like questions about that part of having a child with my condition. Not a child with the condition, but having the condition and having a child. So anyhow, so my pain threshold is really high, and I can handle a lot of pain because I've been in pain all my life, you know, with open wounds and whatnot and discomfort. But another thing that's a blessing, because of all the blood and all the wounds that I've seen all my life since I was little, is that I am not like, I do not cringe when there is an emergency situation. When there is an open wound, a cut, or blood because of an emergency or an accident or something, I'm not intimidated by it, and I don't freak out about it. And I know even nurses and things that like, it's really weird because they can draw blood and everything, but once they see blood on like somebody from their house, they're like, ah. But you know what? Because I've had to deal with blood and open wounds all my life, I can see a situation that's bloody and that's probably gory and be able to be lucid and think clearly and take action steps immediately, without having that whole like, oh my gosh, you know, getting dizzy and feeling sick because of it, because I'm used to seeing it. And of course, as I've also looked for information about people with my condition, I've seen like extreme cases, and so I'm used to seeing images, and I'm used to seeing blood and wounds and all those things in person all the time. So it has not only higher my pain threshold to the point where, you know, I really There have been very few times that I have ever drank like Tylenol even. My body's pretty much clean as a whistle because I don't drink painkillers. I don't get a lot of headaches either or experience other pains. So I'm blessed in that form, in that way. But the blessing is that I am able to care for, react, and clearly without being kind of creeped out or freaking out when I am in a situation where there's blood or there's open wounds. So it has like, my pain threshold is very high, and also my tolerance for things that might not be that nice to look at. And so that has been a blessing. I know it's weird, but that has been a blessing. So blood doesn't freak me out, and wounds and cuts and things like that don't freak me out. And pain itself, you know, has to be pretty bad for me to even react to it, because it's been like part of my life. So that has been my experience with Epidermolysis Bullosa. And it is Epidermolysis Bullosa Awareness Week, and so I just have challenged myself to make videos every day. I'm a day behind. I'm so sorry. It's been a crazy couple of days. So with that said, what can be a challenge can also become a blessing. I've always clung to that quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, and I know he's an atheist, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we've all heard it. What doesn't kill you, in the military school of life, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that is exactly what I've experienced with this condition. I mean, it's not been to the point of like threatening my life that I know of, but it has brought a lot of pain and discomfort on a regular daily basis that I've learned to deal with. And the exposure to like blood and wounds has made me not calloused. Of course, I feel for the person. I have empathy and sympathy for the person that's experiencing it, but I am able to look past what some people might think is gory and gross or freaky and take care of the situation without being like rattled by the visual, because I'm used to the visual on many levels. So this has been my video for day number 4 of Epidermolysis Bullosa Awareness Week, EB, also known as butterfly skin. I hope you have a good evening, morning, or afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. And I will tackle the subjects of having a child, etc., and some other subjects in the following videos. So I have like a couple of days left. So we shall see what the next video will be. Bye. God bless you.